Hello everyone, welcome to this message. As our first card today, we get Nella's the Alchemist, and it's a completely different kind of collection of cards today, which is probably a good thing. So we have Nella's the Alchemist as our first card, and then we get the Dark Lady and Loathas the Wild. And as the overall energy, we get a card deck that I hardly ever use. And I do think there is something very similar about the colors here a little bit in the bouquet and this image here, which is a lychee fruit. I don't know if it's the same word in English. And it says Lightworker at the top of the card. At the bottom of the card, it says you are allowed to show your power, your own power. Your spiritual strength holds a blessing. Um, or like shares a blessing, is a blessing in loving service of the universe, right? So your spiritual strength is gives a blessing of loving service to the universe. Yeah. So spiritual power, very interesting. And yeah, this lychee fruit in and of itself, what does that relate to? Um, this makes me think about, it says family-in-law at the bottom, but what this actually refers to is a moment in time um where this is like the family-in-law of a narcissist, right? A narcissistic ex of mine, for a very, very long time ago. I don't know how old I was back then. I think I was 19 back then. Let me see. Yeah, I think 19 or 20 years old. Um, and probably 19. And let's see. So there's something about family in law. So yeah. So we went for ice cream back then, and that was the first time I ate lychee fruit, right? So I connected with family in law as a result of that, in terms of correlation. But I'm not really getting anything about family in law. So maybe for someone out there, maybe it is family in law. It could be, of course, because it literally says it on the card, right? But like, I'm not really sensing that. So it must have a different meaning. And I do think it's very interesting that it has the same kind of coloring as this bouquet here. It's almost the same, right? It's very, very similar. So what could this be? If we would think about like maybe, um, well, it could, of course, need to stay close to myself. So I would say something about, let's just start with narcissism, right? Because there is a correlation with narcissism here. So maybe you are allowed to show your strength as it relates to a narcissist of some kind. So let's just start there and let's see how the rest of the message is going to unfold, because it's not very clear to me yet what this message is going to be about. So let's just see. So Nell is the alchemist. She is transforming something, and it's very interesting because what she seems to be transforming is the Dark Lady. So she seems to be transforming a um, yeah, this could be. I think I'm just gonna go with like an oppressive force, because sometimes it also relates to a dark feminine. But I would say just say an oppressive force. Let's just go there. Um, so you are going to change. You're going to change an oppressive force, and it's a little bit of a domino effect. So because Nell the alchemist tends to start a domino effect of unfolding events, right? Where you just kick over like one domino, and then a series of events follows, right? All these other dominoes follow as a result of that. So there's something about starting to change an oppressive situation, perhaps. Um, so that is starting to change. So that's interesting. There's an oppressive situation that is starting to change. And Luwatha is the wild is like this green light of the universe. So, uh, like, but I like to call it the green light of God in this case, right? So we're connecting to God, of course. So the green light of God. So something is being given green light, and as a result, you may start to see that an oppressive situation is starting to change, and this could also be an oppressive person is starting to change. So an oppressive person is starting to change an oppressive situation. Um, I'm also wanting to say with the 16, the number really stands out to me. So I want to go with this idea about divine intervention. So that sometimes God, like divine intervention, is very particular, right? So when I think about number 16, a tower moment, and as it relates to God specifically, like when God creates a tower moment, right? When God creates a divine intervention, he tends to this tends to come with a sense of betrayal usually, or yeah, something quite negative that happens where you're usually betrayed, or like there's a someone ruins, like does something backhanded in some kind of way, which causes you to not be able to go back to a previous situation. So for example, um, this could even be something like when a YouTube channel is removed, for example, right? And and like there's no going back from that, right? So something like that, or like when you are betrayed in some kind of way where you can't go back to how things used to be. So it has something to do with that. Um, can't go back to how things used to be, and it is a divine intervention. So that this is happening is a divine intervention. Maybe also there's like a bolster here, right? So maybe if we look at this from an imagery standpoint, it could be that there was a situation where you had like a really tough exterior or something, where you uh, really had to defend yourself. You couldn't be vulnerable, and now you get to be vulnerable again. And there's something about like perhaps like a pearl or something, like a pearl of wisdom that comes from that, something beautiful that comes from that. Like a pearl is also being created, I guess, in um, most definitely in pressure, quite likely, right? So I see it today, whether this is true or not, I see it today a little bit like a diamond situation where this pearl of wisdom is being forged in a really oppressive, really pressurized situation. And a pearl of wisdom is going to come from that the moment that you get to be more vulnerable, that you get to feel safe, that you get to um, just open up. And there's something as well about softness, because this lychee, I know that it's very soft fruit, right? So if this is like a pearl, it's like a really soft pearl in a sense. So this pearl of wisdom is a very soft kind of wisdom that is within this bolster that opens up after perhaps a betrayal takes has taken place. Something ended and you can't really go back. So there could be a situation where it seems like something ends, and usually this ends like quite abruptly, like really like these are like these moments where you can't really explain why something ended because it was divine intervention, right? Can't really explain why this happened, and you just have to go in a different direction, and something else is available for you, where you are going to be serving God's people, right? So where you're going to be like moving on to another chapter of your divine purpose, pretty much. So it could have something to do with that. And this says like you can show your own power, but this power seems to be very very soft in a sense, right? Very soft power. So your spiritual strength will be like a blessing, right? Will give a blessing in loving service to the world, right? Yeah, that's something really beautiful, very soft, right? A very very soft softness that comes. after something, after you may have gone through a betrayal, or after something has ended. But there's something about divine intervention as it relates to that this particular thing is ending. And maybe you're going to be experiencing something and you could have realized it yet, or you may not have realized it yet, that something has ended in your life, that something will all of a sudden stop, and you can't really explain why that exactly stopped. So there's something about that. And it has to do with you being able to soften up, to open up, and to be a gift to the world, right? To be a light worker. So let's see. So it's a little bit like the energy of like Mother Mary, being an angel on earth, right? So let's see. So something is changing, and you are being like some kind of oppressive situation is changing. The first domino has fallen, or it's already a cascade of dominoes that is already in motion, some kind of unfolding that's already in motion. And you are being given a very, very clear green light about like towards something else. So there is something that will be very, very clear. So it could be that something else, like, just really takes off or something. So it's like, okay, this doesn't just like strange hasn't just strangely ended. And I can't really explain if that's the case. And maybe you haven't realized it yet that it's actually ending. And but it because it is a maybe perhaps is that's why we have this card, because there is a domino effect happening, right? So there's something about like these subtle changes, because it feels a little bit like a ripple, right? So kind of like these subtle changes from God are starting to happen in your life. So you may not realize it yet, but there is an ending. You are flowing. It's not like this hard ending, but it's like you are floating, like an ending is happening, and you may not realize it yet that there is an ending happening, and God is doing it in a very beautiful way, right? So in a soft way, like this kind of loving, soft way, right? So God is doing something in a very, very soft, gentle way. There's hardly anything happening, for example, in a particular area of your life. There is an ending taking place, and you haven't really realized it yet. So it's not like a complete ending, but there's something about very, very, very low. There's not much going on, right? So you think that there's still hope, but there's actually you're actually moving towards something way better. So it's very, very beautiful, really. And and God is giving the green light towards this oppressive situation starting to lift slowly and gently. And but this green light is going to be very, very obvious, right? So God is going to show you very, very obviously, like this is the direction to go. This is how you need to move forward. So it's going to be very interesting. And then you have the guardian at the gate. Again, the number 3, divine alignment. There's something in divine alignment here. And then we have Sylvanius. So something is about to be revealed, right? So something that is in divine alignment, that is kind of like destined from birth, because usually this card means that to me, like something was destined from birth, and it's about to be revealed to you. And it will be quite unreal, because this is the card of this is unreal. I have to pinch myself, like, what is happening here, right? So that could be something quite unreal that is happening. And so now the alchemist is like causing this domino effect. But again, as I already suspect, this is divine unfolding, right? So it's very, very specific. There's a domino effect of a divine unfolding happening that was destined from birth, right? That was preordained. That's a beautiful way to say it. It was preordained from birth that this first domino would fall right now. And this is a domino of a divine unfolding. So there's like this first inclination of a divine unfolding starting to happen. Now the question is, what is being revealed to you? Because there is an oppressive force, maybe also part of this oppressive force, right? That was very much revealed to you, could be what has happened in the past, right? So there could be something in the past where God revealed something to you. So again, I get this feeling that something in the past happened that started this unfolding. That this is not the first domino. It is like again, it's moving from the past into now into the future, and this revealing of this oppressive situation or this oppressive person was part of that. It was part of this unfolding, but it's not the first domino. Well, kinda it was the first domino. It's more like right now is not the first domino, but this betrayal being revealed to you, this oppressive force being revealed to you, was the first domino. So I do think that was in the past, right? It's in the past that happened. There was betrayal, or there was because that was the start of the divine intervention. The moment of that betrayal, or the moment that an oppressive situation was being revealed to you. And I do think it's a little bit of both. It could be betrayal, then a bit later that the situation is quite oppressive for you, starts to be revealed to you, and it just keeps on unfolding, right? But it's moving you towards a green light. So, and once this green light happens, it will be very unreal, because this is the card of like an unreal green light, an unreal unfolding. Like, this is unbelievable what's happening here, right? So something like that might happen for you in the future. But it's going to happen slowly, so you won't be too like, whoa, like, I would say the word flabbergasted. So you won't be flabbergasted about it, but it's going to be quite unreal. Um, so let's see, because it was destined, right? And it has something to do, at the bottom of the deck we get the Singer of Healing, which is this card of like God steering your focus, guiding your focus, right? And it is a very healing focus. It is a very, very positive focus. And there's something here about integrity that goes with that, and even sexuality. But this makes me think much more like the fig within the Garden of Eden, right? So it has to do with like self-consciousness. So yeah, God is guiding your focus towards integrity, perhaps, because it says, no, it's not that, because it says, bring all your actions into one line, right? That there's one line, one red line in all of your actions, so that they may be in correspondence with your own values. That was what we were sharing this morning. So that they would be in correlation with your own values and your own inner knowing of what is good for you, right? So that's very interesting. So there's definitely something again about God guiding your focus, right? So making sure that, like, and this is that line, that is that domino effect. That is that domino effect started earlier, right? To be clear. So it started with a betrayal, quite likely. Then you have the second moment where it is starting to be revealed to you that that you are in an oppressive situation, or that this is an oppressive person. And then maybe something is being given green light. Slowly will start to become clear. And this domino effect that is seeking to change this oppressive situation towards a green light for you, right? There, God is guiding your focus. So God is guiding your focus. God is guiding your focus, is making sure that all of your actions are in alignment, right? In divine alignment, because that's what this is, right? All of your steps are in divine alignment. I hope you can see it. That's what God is doing. It's creating a domino effect of divine unfolding, because God is guiding your focus, right? Guiding your focus, so that all of your steps will be in divine alignment as it relates to a divine unfolding that is supposed to happen, where all your actions it will be in alignment with God, of course, but also with your inner knowing and with your own values, right? So there's something very beautiful and it will be good for you as well. So everything that's going to come now is going to be good for you, right? That's really amazing to hear that, of course. So it might be something that's really, really aligned with you. It may be very much you what's going to be happening next. That's something very interesting here. And like, why self-conscious? Self-conscious versus integrity. Maybe it has something to do with this light worker, right? Like the softness, the breaking open of this shell, of this defensiveness. You being able to show your soft, loving, like Mary side of you, right? Angelic side of you, to be able to show that. And then maybe this removes the self-consciousness and you will be able to move with integrity, but this is divine alignment. All of it is divine alignment. And at the bottom of the deck, like more like what lies underneath, in and of itself, right? There is there's the crown chakra. No, I actually think it is the crown chakra, but it's not. It is actually a very, very strange word for the third eye chakra, which has to do with like being able to see the future, right? Being able to see the vision for the future. And it says it is good for your loving for you to see loving energy in all its shapes, such as angels, auras, and visions, right? So maybe you're receiving the vision of the future. You're starting to see the future. You're starting to understand the vision of the future, like God is trying to show it to you. But there could also be something about inner knowing. Maybe it comes to an inner knowing as well, slowly, that you're starting to understand this, because there's something about this is like the forehead chakra, it says in Dutch, forehead chakra. So it made me think about like the crown chakra more than the third eye chakra, but it's actually the third eye chakra. So it means that there's a correlation here. So you're starting to understand the vision of the future. Like, okay, God, I'm starting to understand where you are moving me towards. And it's happening very, very gently. So you're not getting spooked or anything. And there's something about homework balance, right? So there's uh, maybe you will have a really, really beautifully balanced life as well. And I do feel like God is trying to show you something. I don't know if you can see it with this owl here, like this owl mask. Like I'm trying to show you something too, inner knowing, right? I'm trying to show you something here. You will start to understand it slowly, like, ah, okay, I'm starting to understand what is happening here, right? So, yeah. So I'm wishing you a very, very beautiful day ahead, and bye bye.